Hello, I am Pastor Barbara Crum, and I serve the congregation of Martin Luther Evangelical Lutheran Church in Burton, Virginia. Today I have for you a reading from the Holy Gospel for the fourth Sunday of Easter from the Gospel of St. John, as well as a reflection. Hear now the Holy Gospel according to St. John, the 10th chapter. Glory to you, O Lord. Jesus said, I am the Good Shepherd. The Good Shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand, who is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and runs away, and the wolf snatches them and scatters them. The hired hand runs away because a hired hand does not care for the sheep. I am the Good Shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that do not belong to this fold. I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice. So there will be one flock, one shepherd. For this reason the Father loves me, because I lay down my life in order to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it up again. I have received this command from my Father. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. It was late one afternoon, after the children had come home from school, when there was a knock on the door. The mother, preparing to go to her job, as soon as the father returned from his, went to answer the door. The older daughter, 10 years old, quietly went up to her room upstairs, while the other daughter, about 6 years old, watched to see who would be at the door. Yes, said the mother, through the glass storm door, to a woman with an ID badge hanging around her neck. The woman, accompanied by 2 police officers, addressed the woman by name, then introduced herself as a caseworker for Child Protective Services. That was when the mother's world crashed into bitter, heartbroken pieces. It would be over a year before her life would emerge from the chaos of mistrust, disbelief, betrayal, anger, and fierce determination brought on by her husband's sexual abuse of his stepdaughter, the 10-year-old. In some ways, she would never emerge from it completely. None of them would. Yet, throughout the unfolding drama of the abuse, in the midst of the court hearings and the confession and the divorce and the financial hardships, and then in the aftermath of the father's incarceration and the family struggling but moving on, mother and daughters were not alone. Jesus did not run away. Jesus was there in the friend that counseled the mother that night. Jesus was there in the family members that encouraged the daughter to speak the truth and not be afraid. Jesus was there in the CPS caseworker who had to follow the law and took the allegations seriously and sought to protect the child who at that time may have been abused. Jesus was there in the police officers who might have been a scary presence to the family, but who were prepared in case things went sideways. Jesus was there when the daughter told her mother the truth, even though she could hardly get the words out. And Jesus was there when the mother, her heart hammering in her chest, called the caseworker, knowing how her daughters and her own future was becoming a dark, difficult, and frightening road ahead. People often wonder, why does God let bad things happen to good people? Or, for that matter, why does God let bad things happen to anyone? The thing is, God doesn't plan horrible things to make people's lives miserable. But because God knows our past and present and future, God knows what will happen and what will be needed for his people, his sheep, to get through it. The shepherd doesn't bring the wolves into the sheepfold, but the shepherd does fight them off when they manage to get in. Evil will sometimes strike us, and sometimes evil will win. But whether we are victims or love the victims, Jesus is right here with us and will bring us through it. Sometimes getting through it is not what we imagined or hoped for, but for those who love the shepherd, being with him is what matters most, through life and through death. Today is Blue Sunday, a Sunday designated for prayer for an end to child abuse. And before we reach that wonderful goal, for public awareness of the signs of child abuse, for teachers and others who are mandated reporters, for the helpers who come when it has happened, for the families shattered, the children wounded physically, mentally, and spiritually, and even for the abusers, that they might know themselves, be repentant, and avoid being repeat offenders. And when we display our little blue pinwheels, it's a sign that we support those children and families, whether we educate ourselves to recognize signs of child abuse and report it, whether we give financially to the agencies like the Collins Center or First Step, or Families Forward or Prevent Child Abuse West Virginia, whether we volunteer with those shelters or other agencies, or whether we let children know that they are children of God, little lambs of the Good Shepherd, who are worthy and believable and beloved no matter what. Almost 10 years after that knock on the door, the family goes on. They've had their struggles. They've had their counseling sessions. They've had their crises and questioning and doubts about God as a loving God. But through it all, Jesus, the shepherd, is still there, waiting.